Good evening, folks. Hello and welcome to the first of two Tiger Bites this week as we build up to a hugely exciting and no doubt nerve-wracking week in the life of Glasgow Speedway. Hope you're well. I'm Derek Smith and back to talk Speedway with the proclaimer of print, Brian Copeland, who'll be joining us very shortly. So, just in case anyone out there has been cryogenically frozen and defrosted in the past 24 hours, the big news, of course, over the past 24 hours is that Glasgow have indeed cemented their place in the championship playoffs and will line up against Sheffield in the semi-finals starting on Thursday night at Owlerton. And, of course, looking further beyond that, on Sunday the club are delighted to stage a highly prestigious championship riders individual meeting on Sunday with the cream of the championship fighting it out to be top dog at Ashfield. Okay, I'm not going to pick through all of the preview of the semi-final solo. I've got Brian Copeland lined up and delighted to bring in also to pick his brains and hear his views on the past week, and of course more so I look forward to the team's prospects in the semi-final. Delighted to be joined by the man in the Ashfield hot seat, Stewart Dickson. Good evening, Brian. Good evening, Stewart.
Good evening.
Good evening, Derek.
Thanks for joining us. So first of all, just very, very briefly, because last week, of course, was a busy schedule for the team, for the club, for the riders and for the supporters, and with 3 home meetings in quick succession. Only 3 points banked from the 3 home meetings, and of course a very vital point that we gained away from Edinburgh. Stuart, just very briefly, because it's more important that we look forward now, what's your overarching thoughts on what we achieved over the past week?
Well, I think we won the one that mattered. I think that's for sure. Obviously, the red car meeting was the kind of cup final, as I'd labelled it, and I think that was the one that we had to win because they were the one team that could take a place. So we won the one that we had to win. I think Saturday night you could tell with the atmosphere in the stadium. I think everybody knew that was the most important meeting out of the lot of them. Obviously, Scottish Derby is important as well, and we're very unlucky not to win that as well. But Saturday night was the meeting we had to win, and I think you could see it in the desire, the performances with the riders that we had.
So we got over that finishing line. We've finished 4th place in the league standings as the league table currently stands. Still some fixtures to be completed, of course. Tigers visit Workington, for example, on Saturday night. And as reward, we have been selected by top dogs Sheffield in the semi-finals. And as I've mentioned, the first leg has been scheduled for this Thursday down at Owlerton. Stuart, were you half expecting to be picked by Sheffield?
If you'd asked me that question a month ago, I'd have said no. But I think that our form and obviously our injury woes, I think, has maybe resulted in Sheffield picking us. I think they were probably looking at Edinburgh for what I'd heard in the grapevine. I think the fact that Edinburgh have got a 7-man team, I think they've opted to go for us. Maybe something to do with the last couple of meetings they've raced against us, and they've decided to go for us. So that's just the way it's turned out. They're obviously the form team at the moment, and they've decided to go with us. So we'll just need to wait and see what happens.
When you heard Sheffield had picked us, Stuart, what was your first thought? Was it, were you quite happy because we will go into that as underdogs, or were you slightly tentative because they are, of course, the top team in the league at the moment?
Well, the way I looked at it is, if we're going to win it, we're going to have to face them sometime. That's the way I kind of looked at it. Travel-wise, it's a bit nearer, I dare say. I know Richie Warwood said that he'd have preferred Ipswich because Sheffield's a favourite hunting ground for him. But I mean, we're going to have to, as I say, if we're going to win it, we're going to have to get by them. We're going to have to face them sometime because they are the standout team at the moment in the championship. So it didn't come as a great surprise to me. So I kind of expected it. I kind of knew that they were kind of looking at us. So it didn't come as a great surprise, and it's just been a case of I was preparing for it already before the news kind of came out officially.
It's a formidable looking Sheffield side, Stuart, and as luck would have it, or bad luck would have it, they're now back to full strength with Todd Kurtz and Josh Bates returning to their lineup this week. Can you take comfort from our 2 visits this season? Because the first time around back in May, we only lost by 2 points, took away a league point, and more recently, of course, we were more heavily beaten, but we were very close, in close contention up until just those last 3 heats.
Yeah, I think the May result is, I think it's long gone, to be honest. They weren't on the forum that they're on now back in May, and we certainly aren't on the forum that we were on then. But you rightly say, the match that we rested a few weeks back, it was pretty nip and tuck up to the last 3 races, and I think that the 3-5 wins they got, certainly it was kind of flattering scoreline in the end for them. But that's the way that we'd done our business last couple of seasons against a lot of teams. We'd kind of hurt them at the end with big 5-1. So that's the way that they're kind of set up. So they are a decent side. There's no getting away from that. But we're going to have to muck in really hard, and every point's a prisoner at this stage of the season. These meetings will take care of themselves. It's difficult to compare the way the other matches have been. I know we always kind of look for reasons of what's happened previously, but these occasions are very different. Things can happen, things go wrong. Nerves, riders sometimes ride on the edge. They don't. Some riders deal with things better on the night than others. So because they know there's no room for error, and you don't get second chances in these meetings. So we're looking forward to it. We're the underdogs, but we'll get everything to gain.
Stuart, a bit of a two-part question for you. What kind of impact have the injuries had on our recent run of form, and what kind of impact will Dan Bewley's return on Thursday night have to the team?
Well, I think the injuries, obviously, it's certainly affected us at home. We were unbeaten at home when we had a full team. We'd lost a couple of matches away from home, and we're soundly beaten at Peterborough. I'm not going to deny that. And I think we took another sound beating. I think it was at Ipswich as well. But at home, when we obviously with Dan and Nike in the team, we were pretty formidable at home. And Nike is worth maybe 7, 8, and that's always like paid 10, paid 9. He always gets at home. That's been very, very difficult to replace those sort of scores. On the match against Ipswich last Wednesday, I think we get 3 points for rider replacement, and three points for Ryan Douglas's guest appearance, which just didn't have one of his better nights, and to only get 6 points, when I think if Nike and Dan had been there, I think being conservative, we'd have got probably 6 each from them. So it's difficult. Whereas on Saturday night, obviously, with better nights from obviously Jake Allen and Stuart Robson had a good night. So sometimes you just don't know what you're getting, but you always prefer to have your own riders. But it's not been easy. I think you're chopping and changing all the time, and you don't always know what you're going to get. But we have went off the boil a wee bit, even with the injuries. But I think certainly at home, Ashfield was still a bit of a fortress, even though we dipped off form away from home. We were still pretty formidable at home, and I think that was one of the problems.
Stuart, yourself and the club indeed have been very generous in holding back the Tigers lineup for Thursday night to be revealed in TIGERBITE, and we'll talk about that lineup in just a minute. I'm just going to ask, and it's a slightly related question to what Brian's asked. There's a school of thought out there, maybe not a popular school of thought, but there's a school of thought nonetheless, that Sheffield have gambled a little bit by picking Glasgow, given they couldn't possibly have known which guest riders you would pull into the lineup on Thursday and indeed next Tuesday. Is operating rider replacement and having to employ a couple of guest riders, does that offer any sort of advantage, Stuart, given that you can assuming averages and availability allows, of course, select riders for the circuits?
It's a difficult one to answer straight away with yes or no, because, as I said, sometimes with guests you don't really know what you're getting, Derek. That's the problem. Obviously, Armadale on Friday night, James Sargent got us a dozen points of reserve, and to get those sort of scores, you've got that punch at the bottom end. You're probably going to get 40 points at most tracks if your other riders do their jobs. And even if one or two are off, you can use your reserve, to cover some races. So Sheffield, I think the problem of finishing top, I don't know if the word's problem, but when you finish top, you've got to pick somebody. So they'll know that, they had to pick somebody. That's just the way it happens. And whoever they pick, and it turns out to be us, you'll say to yourself, well, you're looking to cause an upset, because that's just the nature of the sport. And they'll know that we'll see it as a potential banana skin for them. And indeed, so if they'd have picked Edinburgh or Ipswich, I think they'd have thought the same thing. So obviously we've got Dan Bewley coming back into the side, which should hopefully help us. He's no race for a few weeks yet, but I know he's had a bit of practice. So I spoke to Steve Lawson. He's practiced his track a couple of times. He's had a wee practice at Bellevue's track as well. So he's a few practice sessions, and he's ready to go come Thursday. So
okay. Well, let's unveil the team. And just before I do that, I would suggest that if the Tigers can pull off the level of surprise on Thursday night as you have in lining up the team as I'm about to announce, then we might have a fighting chance on Thursday. So the team, Stuart, as you well know, at number 1 is Richard Lawson. Number 2, we welcome back into the side Dan Bewley. Number 3 is the skipper Aaron Summers. At number 4, Richie Worrell. Number 5, your operating rider replacement for Nike Luna. At number 6, coming into the side, is James Sargent. And at number 7 is Alfie Botel, who rides for Newcastle. So James Sargent, Alfie Botel fill the reserve berth. And intriguingly, Stuart, rider replacement at number 5. Can you give us some insight into your thinking there?
No, not really. I'm going to keep that up my sleeve. No,
That's
it's
okay.
just the obviously James Sargent was obviously we're going to bring him in after his. We tend to get the best out of James. We couldn't fit him in at the start of the season because his average was a little high. So, but he done a good job for us on Friday, and he seems to be quite comfortable when he's got the stripes race jacket on. So we're hopeful he can do a job for us. 12 points might be a big ask, but we're hopeful he can do a job. Alfie Botel is going to come in. I mean, Jack Smith is still trying to be fit. Spoke to him today. He's got a bit of movement in the fingers and that. But he's still doubtful. But he's not gave up hope entirely. So we'll need to watch that one. And the rider replacement, right? It's just a wee idea I've got in my head that I've been kind of working out the programme, and I've got a wee idea where we can maybe hit them in races out with maybe out with our biggies. We can maybe go looking to take points in other races that we might not get, and races where they've got their big riders in. So just a wee idea. I've got maybe a different tactic to employ and see if it can get us an extra few points on the night, because as I said earlier on, every point's a prisoner. We've got to target as many as we can get, and if this can help us, then hopefully it'll be worthwhile.
Okay, Josie, thank you very much.
Okay.
Well, speaking of Josie, I was about to use a kind of comparison with football. Stuart, when you look at matches over 2 legs, a lot of the time a club will favour being at home in the second leg because they feel as though they, can recover anything that they've lost in the first leg. They've got their own fans behind them and that kind of thing. Can that have the same kind of impact in Speedway, and could that have a part to play in the fact that we are going away for the first leg and we'll know what we've got to make up for the second leg?
I think it depends, Brian, on whatever the score is on Thursday night. We've had times when we've overcame, defeats or what we've lost on aggregate scores, but it depends. I mean, if it was to be 14, 16-point loss, you know, you would say the momentum would be with Sheffield. You know, it's the same sort of thing. If we were racing at home and we had that, I would feel pretty confident going to the away track. And we'd have a game plan just to do nothing silly, don't throw away any dark points to give the home team the momentum. So it's a difficult one. Obviously, it goes without saying, if we can keep it as tight as possible and get as many points, yes. But Sheffield are a very capable side, as I've proved at Ashfield as well. We don't need a reminding of that. So regardless of how many points we can muster, I don't think you can safely say, well, the job's done because we got X amount of points at Owlerton on Thursday to feel confident enough on the Tuesday, because our home form's been a really bit patchy. So I think it's going to take two massive performances, and I don't think you can be overly confident until the 30th heat is really done and dusted.
Stuart, you mentioned the C word, confidence, and you know your riders better than anyone else. You see them in the heat of a meeting in the pits and how they respond to adversity and their current attitude and state of mind, I guess, given that we've been a bit battered and bruised in recent weeks. Can you sum up the sort of, I guess, the attitude, the confidence level within the camp as you travel and group together in the Sheffield pits on Thursday?
Well, I certainly don't think we're intimidated by them, if that's what you're asking. Obviously, James Sargent knew that he was going to be racing, and obviously Dan Bewley, we kind of knew he was going to be back, and obviously Richard Richie, we kind of had a feeling, you know. So you know, the guys, they want to reach the final, just as Sheffield do. So these guys are just speed riders we're racing against. You know, Richard, Aaron, Richie, Dan, we bet their riders as often as they bet us. We just need to pick the night to do it. And as I say, on playoff nights, sometimes the forum book just doesn't always go to plan. Nerves come in, play a part. There'll be a big crowd, I'm pretty sure, down there. They've got to deliver. They've delivered all season. They've got to deliver when it counts. That's the bottom line. I mean, they've done it all season. They'll be expected to do it again on Thursday night. We've got to make sure that we rise to the occasion. These are the meetings that seem to capture the imagination of the paying public. The riders, I don't know how they feel, if they enjoy it or not, but I think big riders, you should like big matches. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I think you get a certain feeling when you get into the stadium. You know there's a feeling about it when you walk in. You can just tell it's playoff night. There's something about it. So we'll be up for it. There's no doubt about that. Their riders certainly won't be more hungry than my riders, I can assure you.
And Stuart, finally, we've touched on the fact that you've set the team up in a slightly different way for Thursday. What other kind of influence or role can you play as a team manager? Obviously, you can't get on a bike yourself, but what can you do on the night to just kind of try and keep the team going? And is there anything you can do if we are starting to slip behind? Is there anything you can play? Because obviously you don't have a tactical ride in the playoffs.
No, you're right. There is no tactical. I think the biggest thing is also the riders is the confidence. I think Derek said the C word there. You know what I mean? And it's, we just got to make sure that the heads don't go down, because when our guys are on it, I mean, they're good. They are good riders, but we just need to make sure that the heads don't fall down. Obviously, it's an easy thing to say. We need to start well. We need to be, and just try to keep morale up. And it can be difficult if you're getting beat, because the riders are no daft. If things are not going well and you're over and preaching things, they're no daft. They know when they're not having a good night, and you can only say so much. But they have a responsibility as well, and they'll be reminded of that they're wearing a Glasgow Tigers race jacket, and we expect certain levels of performance. This is my club. They're racing for our club. That's what I always sort of say. And the guests will be told they've got a responsibility as well. They've been handpicked for this special occasion. We could have chose other guests, but they've been handpicked for this, and just basically try and let them know they've got a responsibility to the team, and basically hope that it fires them up, and basically try and get everybody working, helping each other, and do as best as we can. Because as I say, you just never know. We've got capable riders. We just need to make sure they're doing it on the night, and who knows.
As I said at the top of the show, it's going to be a nervy week for all concerned with Glasgow Speedway. Stuart, congratulations, because I was a bit remiss not to mention it earlier, on steering the club to the playoffs for the third consecutive season. That should go on record. And even I'm getting excited. Even I'm going to Sheffield, Stuart, on Thursday. I'll probably get a nosebleed when I get to the border, but I'm going to be there cheering on the boys. And I know there'll be lots of red and white bedecked fans at Owlerton making lots of noise. Stuart, I think we can safely say we speak on behalf of all concerned with Glasgow Speedway and every supporter who supports the red and white, and wishing you and the team the very best of fortune on Thursday and indeed next Tuesday night. And you can be sure of our backing on the terraces. Thank you very much, Stuart, for taking time out to talk to us. Good luck on Thursday.
Thanks, guys. All the best. Cheers.